marketing professional for many years, and he's worked with some well-known brands like AT&T, the Home Depot, Prime Media, and today we're talking about unnatural links. So, Jeff, most people involved in SEO know about Penguin, the Penguin update that changed rankings in Google this past spring, and that it impacted rankings for pages and with unnatural links.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a natural link and an unnatural link?
Well, the main difference between a natural link and an unnatural link is the way that you get the link. So let's say if you have a natural link, it's basically in the content or it's placed on the site in a way that is naturally linking to you versus a sponsored link, which is a paid link. And usually you can find some sort of sponsorship or ad relatively close to where that link is. Another way of finding unnatural links versus natural links would be it has heavy or spammy anchor text that go back to a site. There's some other ways to look at it as well. Some people have links all in every footer of the site going back, but basically, if you think of a natural link, just think of either an article that has a link in it or website content that has a link in it that goes back to your site naturally.
Okay. Yeah. So what you mentioned anchor text there. What role does that play with Google now when they evaluate links for trustworthiness?
Anchor text still is a strong indicator of the relevancy of your site. So it's still important, but the key is now they weigh the amount of anchor text to your site for particular keywords. So if you have the same keyword anchor text to your site across thousands of different sites, and then out of your links, the majority of your links come with the same anchor text, no variety, then Google knows that this is not a natural occurrence of links coming back. I remember we talked about yesterday the popularity contest. When you're in school, there's a popularity contest. Who knows you and who says that you're a popular kid? Everyone's going to have a different opinion of why they feel you're popular. So they may think because you're athletic or because of the way you dress or because of the way you look and so forth, but no one's going to say the same thing all the way across the board. Everybody in the school is not going to know you for that one particular thing. And so that's one indicator that the search engines look at. They say, well, everybody can't know you for that one particular keyword. So it's a good practice to diversify the anchor text that you have coming to your site. Some will be your actual URL, some will be linked to, some will be your company name, and some will be the anchor text. And one other thing to note is now that Google looks at intent, you want to look at some anchor text that's relevant to your main keywords. So if you're talking about dumpsters, you may want to do waste management, trash removal, and so forth, because those are all relevant to the dumpster industry.
Okay. So let's say for the dumpster business, like you want to be found for something like I don't know, dumpster removal.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of are you seeing any percentages in terms of anchor text links using that start to get into a untrustworthy area, or are you saying that something else? Go ahead.
Well, there's no real hard number percentage. Each industry is different. Each type of keyword is different. It's kind of good to do the 80-20 rule, or you can do a 70-30 rule. You don't want the majority of your terms to be that one term. I would say 20 to 30% make it that keyword, but the rest of it diversify. But there's no real hard numbers. Of course, you know Google's not going to tell you the algorithm, the hard numbers that they look at. But you know, if the majority, I would say 50% plus, are one particular keyword or key phrase, you can pretty much guess that they're going to look at that as natural.
Okay. Um, Now, one thing that happened to me anyway, I was contacted by some SEO companies, and still am occasionally, who want to remove links from sites that I manage. And so what do you think about removing unnatural links?
As far as removing, now, if they're asking you to remove on behalf of one of their clients, that's at your discretion. But if they're asking to come in and for your accounts go out to these other websites and ask them to remove sites for you, links for your site, I would say it is a uphill battle. It's nothing to say don't do that, but without knowing exactly which links are the bad links, because in that message that they sent, they never tell you which links are the bad links, unless you actually know for sure that you've been doing some black hat SEO. Then you know, it's really a guessing game of which links may be good and which links may be bad. So if you start removing links, all of a sudden you might be removing some links that are helping your ranking. So let's say we'll use the anchor text scenario. You start removing some links that have your main keyword in the anchor text. Well, you may be ranking well for that. Now you start removing it. Now your ranking starts to come down. It's harder to go back to them and say, hey, could you put these links back in? What I would recommend is, if you know of links that are in bad neighborhoods or have been done outside of the guidelines, I would just say email them yourself. You can do that yourself and ask them to remove it. Or if you just don't have the logistics to do so, you can hire a company like that. But I wouldn't do it on a large scale unless you are absolutely sure which links are the bad links.
Yeah, that's good advice. Well, just curious, what is your view about negative SEO? Meaning, is it possible for for a competitor of a site to build a bunch of spammy links up that would cause their ranking to fall?
Google says they have things in place for that. My personal opinion and professional opinion is it's always a way for negative SEO. There is no way of, unless there's a clear pattern, there's no way of Google knowing that you or your competitor actually asked that one website to put a link on there to your site. Now, they have the disavow tool that they're working on and supposed to release. Bing has released theirs. But there really is no way for them to know without any type of hard investigation of who paid for those links or who sent out the email request for those links to be on the site, to say that your competitor did not do that. As of right now, from what has been reported, there hasn't been a lot of that reported going on. Actually, there was a test that went on. I think it was SEO Moz, it may have been SEO Book. A test that went on to do that.
Yeah, SEO Moz did a test on that.
Yes, and it really didn't affect them. So if that's the case, and they reached out to a ton of black hatters to see if it would really affect them. So it didn't affect them. Now, my caveat with that is SEO Moz is a huge fish, though.
Right.
They're one of the authorities in the SEO space. They have a personal friendship, in a sense, with some of the search engines. as they know some people personally and so forth. Not saying that they have any leverage in that sense, but it is an insider versus an outsider, like a small business that has no inside track. Can't call Matt Cutts personally and and say, hey Matt, what do you think about this?
Yeah, plus they're such a big brand. I mean, every time they publish a blog post, they get hundreds of links just to that blog post. So it's almost like, I mean, they're just going to build all those links right back every time they publish.
Exactly. And one thing I've noticed, speaking of just negative SEO and bad practices, I have seen large companies buy links, and it almost was the norm for them to buy links. It was almost accepted practice or expected practice to buy links until JCPenney got slapped. Um, it wasn't, bigger companies didn't blink with buying links. And also some of these link building companies would tell you, you pay us X amount of dollars, we'll go out in our blog network or our network of link exchange, and we'll get you X amount of links a month and so forth. And they would do that. And they would spend thousands of dollars a month to do it. It was just normal practice. And I've worked at several companies that has actually and worked with several companies that has actually been one of the link building strategies. Never was penalized, never had negative effects. Actually, it was a part of the marketing mix. Once this whole Penguin came out, JCPenney gets slapped. Then the buying of links became something that was very heavily looked at. So to say, will the bigger companies still be able to buy links? Probably. Will a smaller company be able to get away with what a larger company can do? Probably not. And just for that point, what you just stated, they have so many different links coming in that it's not their only and sole way of building links. Versus a smaller company that you may have 1,000 links and 500-600 of those links are black hat or paid or through directories, or the patterns are a lot easier to look at versus a large Fortune-sized company that has over X hundreds of thousands of links coming back to their site.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Well, what does Google do now when they encounter unnatural links pointing to a site?
Well, they state that they don't penalize you. It may, what they state that they do is they just won't credit that link. It won't have any value for you. Now, there's two ways of looking at that. There's link value for ranking, and there's link value for traffic. Now, if this is a link that's bringing you a lot of traffic and you don't rank, at the end of the day, what is your goal? But they don't actually penalize you. At least that is what they state. You're not going to actually lose your ranking because of it. Now, that message that they sent out said otherwise. It never really said that you're going to lose ranking. It just implied that it could have a negative effect.
You mean the message that the Google Web Spam team started sending out in July that got a lot of SEOs all in a tizzy, kind of worried about what in the world does this mean?
Yes. I was one of those that was in a tizzy because ironically, it went to one of my sites that was a blog that I just kind of put up, never had any content, didn't have a page up or anything, and just had the domain name and the hosting. And I got that message, and I'm thinking, how? I mean, what links? Link to what? And so yeah, it was pretty much like I said yesterday about getting a letter from the IRS saying that you've done some tax fraud and we're coming after you unless you confess. and then getting a follow-up, because they did do a follow-up message to try to clean it up, a nicer way of saying it. And it's like saying, well, we're going to garnish your bank account and your wages if you don't tell us what what under the table practices you've done. So it was a good fishing expedition for them, and I'm sure there's been a lot of people that have confessed to a lot of different link tactics that they've used. But in their messaging and interviews, they state that really it's not a clear indicator that you will be penalized. But here's the flip side of that coin. But if your ranking does decrease, this is an indicator that it may be because of this. So what does that mean? I don't know what that means. So it's just basically you sit on your hands and wait for your ranking to plummet. And if your ranking plummets, then the message was legitimate. If it doesn't, just disregard the message. Sorry for the scare.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, not long after all that craziness with those emails that the web spam team at Google sent out, Matt Cutts published a post at Google Webmaster Central's blog and named New Notifications About Inbound Links, where he tried to, explain what they really try to do there, and to try to keep people from being so scared about these emails. And when you listen to Matt Cutts discuss these things, he sometimes says, well, we don't trust links like that, and then at times he'll say, we ignore links like that. So do you know what the difference between those two statements are?
Really, there's very little difference in it. Basically, I would go with the ignore. Trust is such a loose word nowadays. So as far as trust is concerned, was trusted, was not trusted, it's hard to say what that playing field is. But as far as ignored, that's something that you can sort of look at. And I would go with more the ignored than the trust. There may be some links that they ignore, but in no way are they saying that they're penalizing you for it. So it's not really negatively affecting you, but it's not helping you. So that goes back to what I was saying. If it's a link that you're getting a lot of traffic from, then it may be worth it. But that is something that you would only know after the link's been up and the fruit has been born. So I would just go by the best practices of SEO and link building. Trying to manipulate the search engines, it works only for a short period of time, and then you have to continue to try to keep manipulating. If you stick to the best practices and the concept of building quality content, giving the users a great experience, giving them what they're really looking for, then a lot of these link building scares you don't have to worry about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, just if you have just a minute, I'd like to just play this little game of getting your rating on some of these different link building practices from the past as well as from the present.
Okay.
And just on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is like that is a great way to do it, and 10 is like no way. Where would you rank it? So, press release distribution.
I would say a 1. The reason I would say press release is a 1, because first of all, you got to look at Google as a multifaceted search engine now, not just the search, but you also have news. Press release links also are index fast. They hold a lot of weight, and like I said before, you can get a lot of traffic from them even outside of your ranking. Now, they don't stay up long, of course. Press releases come out every day, but they do help you with getting boosts, which that's what they're intended for.
Okay. Manual directory submissions.
Manual directory submissions, I would say, I would give that like a probably 6, uh, maybe a 7. They're not as effective as they used to be, but if you are submitting to directories that are very relevant to your industry, let's take, for instance, a plumber, and you have a directory such as Service Magic or somebody of that nature, then it's very beneficial. It might not help you rank well. I mean, the directory, depending on how the directory is structured, no follows or so forth. I mean, it may not help you in that aspect, but as far as business generation or traffic generation, it may help you there.
Okay. Article directory submissions.
I would say article directory submission is a, I would still give it a 3. The only reason I would say 3, even though they say after Panda, most of the article, marketing has fell off, is because the way you do it, if you do it correctly, can be very effective. This article directory will allow others to syndicate your content. And once again, I go back to, of course, somebody would say duplicate content. Well, they're syndicating the same article over and over again as duplicate content. Yes, maybe. But if you wrote a great article with some great content and you position yourself as an authority in the space based on this content, then the traffic that you'll get from all these other locations that pick up the article from the directory will suffice for the ranking you may not get because of duplicate content. And so, I would still say it's a very valuable resource. It's just the days of spinning articles and putting up junk articles, those days are numbered. So, if you're doing that technique, then I would say it's more online with a 7 or 8. But if you have real quality articles, then it's still very effective.
Okay. How about blog commenting?
Same as articles. I would say blog commenting would be around a 3. The main reason is because if you can comment on a blog, especially a high visited blog, and your comments are very authentic and quality, not, oh, I liked your post. I mean, that says nothing. So if they contribute to the content that was in the article and others can benefit from it, then once again, the search engines love that. They will credit that. But also you'll get that authority as well as you'll get quality, traffic back to your site based on your comments.
All right. Social bookmarking.
Social bookmarking is somewhat similar to blog commenting. If your social bookmark is just the social bookmark and no comment, then depending on the social bookmark that you're on, like, a Diggs or Daisy, then yes, it'll have a strong, impact. But if it's on some social bookmark that's real small, no one's ever heard of, it might not have a lot of weight. But the main thing is with that bookmark, you're looking to actually have others go to the site based on your comments and your actual review of that site, and to look at other things you may be reviewing and your opinion on other things, thus taking them back to your, to your site and other content that you put out.
Okay. Guest blogging.
Guest blogging, I would say, is a 1. That right now, I would say, probably is your #1 way of building links and quality traffic to your site.
Okay. How about content marketing on your own blog?
Content marketing on your own blog, it would be a 1 as well. Quality content is really the key right now in the SEO game. I wouldn't say any other technique will get you long-term return other than that. If you have quality content on your site and you have a good user experience and a reason for people to come back to your site, then the search engines love that because they're in business to serve the best websites for the search terms, and your visitors will love it. And of course, your traffic increase. A lot of people look at traffic one way. They look at unique traffic. How many unique visitors do I have this month? That's great. But if you have no returning visitors, you have to continue to spin that wheel over and over again at the same velocity. If you have repeat visitors, then you increase even more because you have the returning visitors. And they only come back if you have quality content on your site.
All right, content curation.
Content curation, that is something that, if done right, you can benefit from. There's companies out there like Zamanta that do a real good job of that. If you're doing it to complement what you have on your site and you're putting your content out there to complement others that are writing in the same niche, then it definitely benefits. If you're doing junk content and just pulling in from a feed and only using that by itself or only using that and spinning it, then it really is not going to benefit you. The search engines are going to hit you with that duplicate content. They're going to say, hey, this site is just basically curating a bunch of things out there. But to note, if you look at the majority of news sites out there, the majority of these news sites and blogs of that nature are just repurposing the same content. So it doesn't affect them. So I would say with that, it would be roughly around a 5. Just use sparingly. It's the seasoning on the meal. It's not the meal itself.
All right, and what's one of your tactics or strategies for natural link building?
I would say one of my tactics and strategy would be well, there's a couple, and we talked about them. I would say content creation, creating some content, publishing it on other sites as a guest blog, putting content on my own sites, building things like what we're doing now, audio and video pieces. Just building different forms of content to put out there. And if they feel that the content is quality, the links pick up. Also, relationship building is key. It's going back into the days, like I always like using the high school analogy, but days of high school is the more people you get to know, the more circles you can get in, and the more circles you can get in, the more places you can go. So as you are out there commenting on blogs, don't just comment on a blog. Get to know the actual author of that blog. There may be other opportunities. As you're out here bookmarking and putting through social signals like Google Plus and Twitter and Facebook and so forth, as you're putting that message out there, put your spin on it. Get to know those that are interacting with that and engaging with that. And that brings other opportunities for link building. That social aspect is one of the bigger aspects of 2012 with getting links back to your site by, doing the Google Plus and the Facebook likes. And well, Facebook likes is more for Bing now, but just using those social signals to accent the content. So it's really this: you create good content, you go out, find other people with good content, you interact with those people with good content, you find a synergy, ways to naturally exchange content, link build that way, and then you promote it through social signals. So that would be my 1, 2, 3 step approach to it.
All right, well, thanks so much for your time, Jeff. I appreciate you coming on and giving us your thoughts about this natural link building and unnatural links and all that. It's been interesting. And I'm Tom Shivers with Exploit Online Demand, and This is one of our first broadcast videos, anyway.
Yeah,
So,
cool. And thanks for having me, Tom. I'm really enjoying it. I think this hangout is going to be something to see. I like it.